Welcome to another episode of 3 Deep, your Purple podcast, Viking talk going on, extraordinary hosted, and powered by VikingsJournal.com as well as PurplePTSD.com, the two websites that have started this whole thing up. That one's founded, of course, by one of our hosts, Joe Johnson.
Hooray.
A little bigger hooray, please.
Hoorah.
Okay, better, okay. We also have Joe Oberly is one of our hosts as well. He is not here today. He's out on assignment down in Mankato, so we'll be hearing from him next week on the show. Of course, when we get into talking more about training camp, because we'll be in training camp time. And of course, I'm Skolt Scott, your VWO host of 3 Deep. Glad to have you with us. As well today, though, we're not down on people, though. We've got Viking Dave, good friend, Skolt, VWO 4-star general, the Army Division, Viking World Order, one of my best friends in the VWO. Welcome, Dave. Glad to have you here.
SKOL.
Super. We are going to talk about a few things today. Dave and I will probably dominate the show talking about the ribbon cutting day and the stadium opening up because there's so much to talk about and we're not short of words. So bear with us on all that. It's going to be fun. It was a really, really great weekend. And so we'll talk about that. Denny Green passed away, though, over the same point in time, so we want to remember him. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. And then Phil Loadholt retired, so we want to touch on that fact, too. That's going to change the O-line, which here on 3D we've been talking about what's going to go on, and that was one of those battles that we were kind of looking forward to in training camp time, so we'll get to that as well as whatever kind of comes up here. So we want to thank, of course, Mermaid, who was our site that we're here at, Mermaid Event Center here in Mountains View, Minnesota. Fantastic place, and I just encourage you to come out anytime you can. They've got bowling alley, they've got a game room, bar, sports bar, they've got darts in here, there's a hotel next door, so you can come and stay for as long as you want. Take a vacation here at the Mermaid.
Move in.
They don't pay us to say that either, so there's no
incentive there.
Yeah. No incentive. We just love this place. This is our host place. And soon we will be doing this show so that you can come and be part of the audience. You could be an audience and attend this as well. And check out whatever you want here at the Mermaid or any other sponsors that we have, because we have sponsors who are going to be coming on board, like SKOL Your Home. Stay tuned for more on that. And Nick, who's one of our sponsors. AME Sports is going to be coming on deck. So we'll tell you more about those guys when they're here. Sometimes we might have them on as guests too. But let's get into talking about this historic time in Minnesota Viking history and even the state of Minnesota history, because the opening of the U.S. Bank Stadium, aka the Purple Palace, that's a huge event. This is like the biggest building in Minnesota now. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah, I would say single space wise, walking in those doors and seeing the massive structure, putting the Metrodome in it pretty much twice. I mean, it's huge. It's gigantic. It's overwhelming actually at first, and then once you get acclimated to how overwhelming, how beautiful the light is, it almost feels like I want to say an outdoor stadium feel, even though it was comfortable. I don't know, it felt like it was 72 degrees in there.
It really does. Well, with the overhead roof, it's basically glass, or that ETF, whatever, EFT, you know the technical term is. But it is. It's very clear, very translucent, so you have total sunlight coming in. Ribbon cutting day, we're there on the Friday of that. And it was so bright, we heard people talking about, man, we need sunglasses in here.
Yeah.
Some of the Viking owners and people were kind of laughing about that.
And I had mine on, I believe.
Yeah, I think you did, yeah. And for sure, it was definitely bright. There was a couple times, I mean, I'm wearing my helmet, but I put my hand up over my eyes because I'm trying to look somewhere, and it's like, there's a glare there, you know. So it definitely has that outdoor feel, even though you're inside.
Did they have the big doors open, or were they closed?
The big doors were not open that day, no.
Okay.
So they were closed.
You're going to see, it's going to be a rare time when the large doors are open all at once.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because it takes a lot of money, electricity, to do that. I mean, it runs a motor runs a pump that allows the hydraulics to work, and the door pivots on what I want to call some of the best engineering minds of Minnesota put that together. I don't know how to describe it other than that it's really impressive how it comes out at a 90-degree angle. So, but it's going to be very rare that you'll see all 5 doors open all at once. And when they do, they'll be staying open pretty much all day, because the NFL requires it, just like if it was a retractable roof. You need to tell them before game time, X amount of time before game time, you have to have it open. And then you have to keep it open the entire time through the course of the game, or keep it closed through the course of the game, one or the other.
Yeah. Now, it could be interesting. I know it was mentioned over that weekend that because of the way the preseason schedule plays out, we have a Sunday, third game is a Sunday noon game, and then the fourth game is a Thursday night game. So it gives them the chance to play with kind of those dynamics of what's it like in here during an afternoon or during a night game, which this season we have plenty of all different kind of schedule
Yep.
things. So
And if
I would
the
expect
weather
that-
works out, they will have the doors open.
Yeah, I would
If the
expect that
weather
they do.
works out.
yeah, I think that will be very interesting.
Yep.
So another unique thing that we'll see, because these are like the biggest doors in America.
Yeah, 75 feet at the smaller door, and then 95 feet at the upper door. It spreads across probably, I would say, a good, I don't know how many yards that is, but there's at least 140, 160 yards from the beginning of the door to the other side of the door.
I'm kind of surprised you don't
Five
know how many
doors.
yards, Dave.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been a while since I read that stat.
The man
so-
who's walked around this place, how many hundred times?
Actually, I did it like 191 because I did a couple more just the other day. And I was at 189, so I did a couple more the other day before I could actually go in it, for the open house for the public.
Yeah.
I wanted to get my exercise in because I knew once I got in there, I was just going to get stopped and stand and
Yeah.
hang out,
All right, so let's move on to ribbon cutting day. Though. That was on that Friday. The official ribbon cutting, the official announcement time, all the dignitaries are there, the governor, former Mayor Rybach, the current mayor, who had to eat a little crow because she didn't vote for this thing, but she had to be up there giving it props. That was fun for those of us who fought so hard to beat her and those politicians against us and getting it done. That was kind of nice. So sorry, Betsy, not trying to rip on you here if you happen to listen into 3D, but
Yeah, it was nice being able to eat with the dignitaries. We were in seating that was not reserved seating. We weren't in the family rows or the VIP rows or whatever, but we are VIPs in our own right because we got to be in there. To me, that's the way it felt to me.
well, yeah, and courtesy, I want to give props to Lester Begley of the Vikings because he knew very much. I mean, we've interacted with him many times, and he knew that the VWO needed to be there. So, I mean, he reached out to us, called Sid. He had, I think it was 10 tickets or so, approximately, that they reserved for us specifically to be able to be there at that event. Which,
And there was quite a few fans that the Vikings offered up tickets to as well as
Sure.
fans, season ticket holders.
there were some who could get that way or through the Vikings Rewards program. Some were able to score.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had plenty of friends there. But yeah, it was a really nice day. You kind of have it, just to kind of give you a quick blowout of what the whole day was like. We walk in, you register, you get a VIP pass, all that kind of stuff. For those of us bringing armor and weaponry, the security came over and checked it out. So, which they are going to be apt to do. But they saw, everything's cool. So and they let us. So we go all in. Now the VWO, once we planned this, once we were all together and walked in the doors together as a group of about 12 strong at that point,
Yeah.
singing SKOL Vikings. Everybody inside, things just stopped. Everybody was looking at us, whether they were just sitting and listening, because it was
loud.
For the first time for us to do that, I mean, that's an experience. I've sung this song so many times I can't remember it all, but this is one of those ones that I will always remember because our first time in US Bank Stadium singing SKOL Vikings. Yeah, and it rocked throughout. We were there, and everyone's listening or taking pictures or whatever, and that was really cool.
Were you guys out on the field when you did that? Or?
No, this was right inside the doors.
Right
Okay.
inside the doors. As
So-
soon as we got in, the last guy got in or the last gal got in, and then we started it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Chris and it.
And I think it was all on Facebook Live, if I remember correctly.
Somebody might have. If I haven't seen that, if it was, but
Yeah, I think-
not that we
I
ever
think,
see all our pictures, but. So that was really cool. That was a great experience. And then it was just a little bit of time of mingling in that first end zone, which happens to be the area where the VWO section will end up being, is in section 140, which is on that western end zone of the stadium. A lot of people just kind of mulling around, looking at what's here right in this area. It wasn't a time to go explore yet because ultimately we got ushered to go down onto the field because they had basically the field was set up like a huge banquet room. Round banquet tables everywhere because there might have been, 1,000 people or so there. I have no idea of head count that were there with all the
Yeah.
dignitaries and family and business people and stuff that were
Yeah, I
there.
would say it was right around 1,500.
Yeah. So we sat down, they had a lunch for us to take part in, which was good. And then all the dignitaries are up on the main stage, which is at the 50-yard line. And, PA, Paul Allen, kicked it off. He was the host per se. He started it and then he ended it, and that was all he had to say. But then they got it going. They had a bunch of people to come through. And marching band from Eden Prairie came out, led by Bob Lurtzema, Chuck Foreman, and Ricky Young.
Yep.
So they kind of started off with a band, a bash, and then they went through all the speeches like you'd expect. Vikings owners talking, construction people talking, past and present politicians who were involved. Of course, Maury Landing and Senator Julie Rosen, who are our heroes who led that bill that we got to know so well, spoke.
Yep. And Mayor Ryback.
Mayor Ryback, yeah. Love that guy. Love that guy. And then when that was all done, it was time for the actual cutting to happen. So they had a huge U.S. Bank ribbon across the stage, and Governor Dayton has the scissors, the gold-plated scissors. He comes up and they had a countdown that was on the video board, and different Minnesota people saying, 10, 9, 8, working all the way down.
Yep.
And then it came to the time they cut the ribbon, and streamers fly in, and then fireworks went off inside, and they
It was
had
loud. It was really loud.
It was some good pyro in there. So yeah. Go to that Metallica concert coming up. I think that's going to be really.
That's going to be loud.
That's going to be cool. I hope I get to go. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, so that was kind of what happened for the ribbon cutting ceremony time, and then after that there was time for again mulling around a little bit for people to talk, for people like us a chance to go and go see Julie Rosen again and say hi to her and thank her and stuff. Before we even got to do that though, like I said, I gave Mayor Ryback a little shout out. He came down from the stage in like no time. And just came over right away. He had to get selfies with us again. He had to give hugs and say hi again because he was so appreciative of everything that Viking World Order and Viking fans. I don't want to limit it to the VWO because there were fans who are not VWO members that were involved in this process too. So certainly I always want to give credit to all Viking fans who helped get this job done. But we're the ones there at the time, and Ryback got to come over and whatnot. Because back in the day when this all passed, when this finally passed City Council, he took us up to his office, and we got to celebrate up there. And when we did, Viking Dave, what did you do?
Yeah, I delivered a horn to him because when we were at the Capitol, he got a kick out of my drinking horn. And he goes, "Hey, that's not the same drinking horn you had yesterday. What, do you got a couple of those?" I said, "Well, yeah, I got more than one."
You had one made that you presented to him, right?
Yep. I said, "Well, if we get this all passed and you get it through the city, I'll make sure you get a horn." And I had Steinar make him a horn just for him.
And then you gave it, and I don't know what you had in it, and he even
I
said...
put Greenbelt Premium in it.
Greenbelt Premium, okay. I remember Ryback saying, "I don't know what's in this, but I'm drinking it anyway."
Yep.
And he chugged it down a little bit.
Yeah, he was in the other room getting
Yeah.
interviewed from the news crew. So.
Well, his office was packed because there were all of us in there, and there were the press in there, and probably a couple of official aides or something that were around. But yeah, his office was probably never so packed, ever. But that was a good day. So fast forward to ribbon cutting time. Here he's down here again, around with us again. Got some pictures of that I posted on my Facebook page, and I know they're on. I think they got posted on Vikings Journal. Did you post them on Purple?
Yeah, they're on Purple PTSD.
They're on. Good.
Tons of clicks.
So yeah, check those out if you haven't seen them. Some very good pictures from everything that went on that day.
And with all the work you guys did at the Capitol, was there ever a feeling, perhaps when the state had a crazy deficit, that we weren't going to get the stadium done, or did you guys feel like?
Oh, there was a number of times that we were worried, especially before the vote.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like 3 days before the vote or 4 days before the vote, but it was really it was do or die, and we pretty much sent out a message. I don't know who it was that got it initiated, but we sent out to try to get as many people outstate to write in, to email in. I mean, it was a combined effort for like 72 hours, and then all of a sudden the vote was going through.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of work for years of time, but Viking fans who emailed in, and so anybody, if you're a Viking fan, I don't care where in the world you live, if you emailed in to a governor or a state representative or a city council member, your email counted. Because they talked how much they heard from Viking fans from all over the place.
Thousands from all over.
Yeah. And I mean, if I want to make this point, one of the best examples to hammer it home, there was one of the Minneapolis City Council members, and I'm forgetting her name offhand, I'm sorry I'm blanking on this. But I remember she came in when it was her turn to talk, she held up two stacks of papers. One that was about an inch thick, that was the opposed email she got. The other one was about 4 inches thick, and that was all those in favor of. And she's like, "I'm not a sports person. This isn't my world, so I really relied on what kind of feedback I got." This easily helped me make my decision. The city council, we won by 1 vote. I mean, so
it was tight.
Viking fan emailers, you swayed that vote, and that got us our stadium done. Because the city council vote, as tense as it was at the state capitol many times, the city council vote was won by 1 vote. That's just, it always floored me that was that close.
That's really surprising
Yeah,
for Minneapolis.
But there are politicians, and I'm not gonna be nice here, that they can be real stick in the muds, and they can just, whatever's in their craw for some reason to be against it, they were against it, and you couldn't change their mind, you know? So that's the way it was, but like I said, we won that vote, and it all came together, and it was good. But at the Capitol, those were just some long hours. At least at the city council, that was like business day hours. You're there, mostly it was the morning into the early afternoon. At the state capitol, we were there morning, noon, night, overnight.
All day, all night,
yeah.
overnight, camped out, slept in the chairs. When it was going on, the vote happened. It was wee early morning hours when it all finally went through.
Yeah, the big one, the first one, which was, I think, the House of Reps. That
Yeah.
was like 4 in the morning.
It was like 4 in the morning when it came through, and then we were back down there. Literally, everybody was back down there by 8 o'clock. But some people actually camped out or stayed there that night.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of big stories from that point in time. And some of those we can go back to other days too, because we can talk about this forever and ever today. But so we're on ribbon cutting day and ribbon cutting time, you know, big celebration that happens. Very, very cool. The next 2 days then are the free tour days, as they call it. Honestly, they shouldn't have maybe used the word tour, because to me, tour implies that you're going to be led around. Well,
Right.
this was all kind of on your own.
It's like an open house.
It was,
Open
yeah.
house.
It was an open house that had, you can walk this way, you can walk this way, you can get to this concourse, this concourse. There was one lower, nice lobby suite. What was that one called, Dave? The lower
The
suite?
Delta 360 Club.
Right, the 360 Club. We got to walk through there.
Yep.
There's a really
Delta.
fantastic
And
mural
then the
there
second
with-
day, we were able to walk through the Hyundai Club.
Or Hyundai, that's the one I was thinking of, sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
But,
the first day, I think it was we were able to walk through the Delta 360, and then the second day, it was the Hyundai Club, and then the third day, I think it was the Purple Club, Mystic Lake Club
Yeah,
was the other one that they let everybody walk in.
yeah, some fantastic.
Pretty nice.
They are pretty nice, yeah. On ribbon cutting day, they weren't limiting anything. There wasn't really anybody letting you do anything, but they weren't limiting you either. So I got to get
Right.
into a couple of them. I checked out the Valhalla suites with
Right.
Sir Purple Heart, and we checked those out and grabbed a pop. I didn't officially say, wait.
Grabbed a pop.
Yeah, delete that line.
They were stocked. The little refrigerators that were in the suites, they were stocked.
Those are big.
Are they still
Those aren't
stocked?
Well, I'm sure they still are. I'm
Okay.
sure they restocked them after we went through, and oh yeah.
little. I only took
Good
one
turnaround.
test.
I only filled up my one with lemonade. That's all.
You have to.
But they're pretty
I didn't do
nice.
any liquor that day. I was digging the lemonade.
What I wanted to see that I almost did is Gary and I, we walked into that hallway where all the Viking art is.
Oh yeah, I know.
That looked really cool. Unfortunately, there was a film crew that was filming something, and they're like, guys, we need to keep this space clear right now. So
Yeah.
we were cooperative. We didn't push our way like Vikings sometimes can. And so
Yeah, I haven't been down there to be able to take photos of that hallway yet either. So I mean, I've been
Someday.
posting quite a few photos online of the stadium as the progress has been going since I've been walking around it for the last 2 years, 11 months, and 3 weeks. To be exact, 191 times around it.
He has, yeah. He was doing walkarounds like every weekend, if you're not understanding what this is meaning, just through the whole building progress stages of US Bank Stadium. So.
Yeah, so I have over 9,000 photos I've taken. Some are up in the cloud, some are still on my phone, some are on the other phone that I had before this phone. Some are, I want to say, already developed.
Very good. So what are some other impressions that you came away with this stadium? I mean, because you've seen it so much, you've seen it, more
me-
progressively than anybody else, so.
To me, it's big, it's bold, it's glassy. To me, it kind of reminds me of a ship in a lot of different similarities. There's a lot of different angles in there that gives you natural light. It gives an outdoor feeling within a controlled climate. To me, having the comfort of seeing the purple everywhere,
I love that.
everywhere you turn around, even on the yellow side, you see purple everywhere. I really like that about the stadium.
Yeah.
I like the stadium, how it has a lot of walking space. I like that it has 33 doggone escalators, 11 public elevators, not counting, I'm not going to tell you how many different vending elevators, but there's quite a few vending elevators that are behind the scenes that you don't see. There is a detention center in that stadium that most people don't know about. There's a 911 crew that's in that stadium. If you call 911 within the stadium, they will be answering it in the stadium. Most
That's
people
smart.
don't know that.
No, that's smart, because you're gonna
On
have
the grounds
70,000 people.
outside, they have probably over 200 different camera services watching the grounds. It's amazing they haven't caught the kid or person that put that big boulder through the window, but
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. He was obviously pretty dark, and it was dark in that evening when it happened. But yeah, there's a couple hundred different cameras throughout the stadium watching Big Brothers everywhere in that new stadium. Wi-Fi is throughout. Doesn't matter where you're at when you're viewing the field, whether you're in the concourse area looking at the field, you see through the railings because they're clear. I mean, everything is clear. Everything you look at from field side, when you're in the concourse area, you can see the field and all the way around.
A ton of, like you said, a ton of great viewing angles. Even when we were walking up on the third day and we were going through the concourse and we're kind of just going under like a little staircase and there's like this little alley where like two people could maybe stand and look at the field. It was like,
Yes.
that was a cool view.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was.
I could stand here and watch the game a little bit. Now, I'm not going to because I will be down on the seat better.
Exactly.
But, I mean, it was a cool view. I mean, and there were other, as we went around, there's other great views from other spots. I'm like, I could enjoy the game up there. I could enjoy the game over there. I could enjoy the game, you know.
On the main concourse, the lower level, they call it the bowl area. The lower concourse or main level, you can go all the way around for those roller skaters, so they'll continue that roller skating or roller blading thing that they did before in the past in the winter months. It's a really nice atmosphere within the stadium, and it sounds loud. It does sound loud.
I'm looking forward to us
Those
getting that
noise
place
panels
rocking.
on the dark side, the natural light on the light side, it's gonna be brutal for that opponent. I really think so.
That's part of our job too,
Yes.
as VWO and Viking fans, is to make it loud. You know, our team was used to, you know, the Dome being such a loud place and.
Oh, without a doubt.
This is even more expansive, so it's gonna take a little more effort to do that, but we've got the gusto to do it. So you know,
Yeah.
I'm certainly gonna be encouraging fans to get there and to be ready to be loud. This is where you use your outdoor, even your universal loud voices to.
There's 3 times more men's bathrooms, 7 times more ladies' bathrooms. There's
No trough.
6
No trough.
no troughs, urinals everywhere. There's we used to only have 1, 2, or 3 toilets within a bathroom.
Yep.
In 90% of the main public bathrooms within the stadium, they have 6 to 8
Wow.
toilets within access to you. There's 615 points of entry for food and drink. That's including the kiosks, that's including all the concessions. There's a private concession for the Ultimate Fan section that is below our section, that only we have to have access to go use the urinals and bathrooms. What else?
Did you guys get a sense on
Okay.
the type of food and like prices? I heard that some of the
A lot.
prices were up.
Okay, the prices that they had were a standard, I want to call it a generic price list that's both for the East Coast and West Coast, so that it would give off the impression that it's overpriced food.
Okay.
So like a $14 box of Cracker Jacks, for instance,
Yeah.
or peanuts would be $19. They're doing that on purpose, basically to keep those employees that are working on the stadium from taking photos of it and then sharing it to the public.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe that.
Yeah, I'm not guessing it's gonna be cheap though. I mean, stadiums never are, so I mean,
Okay.
get real. You're not gonna go to the stadium to eat. for-
Electronically, they
cheap.
can change the price of a hot dog with one button all the way across the stadium, from what I've heard from their security. If the hot dogs aren't selling in this part of the stadium or that part of the stadium, they'll just go, you know, instead of it being $6, they'll drop it down to $3.50 or $3 to try to get rid of those hot dogs. So
There weren't a lot
using
of,
that
there
as an
weren't a lot of
example.
vending things open over the weekend. It was mostly like hot dog vendors and things like that, pop water and everything. A bottle of pop cost me $5 or $5.50. I did buy one hot dog, that was $6.
I can say Andrew Zimmer's in there and Kamarchik Sausage Company. There's an area where they have bratwurst.
Yeah.
Where you can buy pretty much any kind of bratwurst you can think of.
Awesome.
Yeah, there is going to be
So it's
good
a
food.
booth that's
There's
just
very much
nothing
good
but
food.
wrappers.
Yeah, we have to get AJ Mansour on here sometime, because I know he did a thing for K-Fan where he videoed and hosted the whole thing, and, AJ has connections with us through Vikings Journal, so we have to get him on, because he can talk about this even more, because he's actually tasted
And I
it.
wasn't at the food thing.
Yeah, no,
I
I was-
wanted to go, but they wouldn't give me a ticket. They said I was too fat.
They're probably smart not to let the VWO crash that party, because that would be, oh man, so, yeah, they don't let us do everything, darn it, but,
Doggone it anyway.
yeah. But, what other questions do you have, Joe? That's,
Yeah, I'm the only one in the room that hasn't been in the stadium. So, what is the?
Viking locker rooms are like literally three different locations. So there's an outside Viking locker room, there's an inside Viking locker room. And then there's two different stores within the stadium itself. And then there's small kiosks that allow souvenirs to be purchased in different ways.
Okay. What about the jumbotron?
those are ginormous,
The
yeah.
Jumbotron are ginormous. I don't know the exact square footage of them, but I can say that one is 20 yards larger than the other.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I know, I saw
One
some
end is
stats.
20 yards larger. I mean, larger meaning circumference-wise, 20 yards go in one direction.
Okay.
And then 20 yards go in the other direction, so,
Yeah.
and you can barely see that looking at either one of them when you're within the stadium.
Yeah, they're in each end zone. And yeah, because of the size of the stadium, they don't look, they look large, but you're not over impressed because the whole place is so huge.
There's also ribbon lighting that goes around that they can send messages on by way of each level, the second, third, and fourth tiers by way of doing that. And if you notice really closely, there's actually purple strips in certain sections. And those purple strips are representing the Vikings circle of Ring of Honor is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it'll circulate through the whole stadium. So the previous Ring of Honor participants will be on there, and then new Ring of Honor people like Denny Green will probably go into that as well as a Ring of Honor participant. Somebody from his family will blow the guy on horn and whatnot. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I never even thought about that, how they'll post signage, because like on the dome, they used to have the banners
there's
up
also
around the circle.
signage in the concourses of players of the team. Like there'll be an AP sign up here, and there'll be a Patterson sign over here, and a Teddy Bridgewater sign over there. In the public concourse areas.
Cool. How much bigger would you say the concourses are? Than that was like one of the biggest drawbacks of the dome is everyone's just
Yeah, I
so tightly
noticed that a lot,
packed.
because this weekend had, almost, I think 90,000 people one day, and I don't remember, I haven't heard it on the other.
I've heard it was over 200,000 people over the weekend.
Easily it was.
Look at it this way.
And
The old concourse at the Dome was approximately 24 feet.
Okay.
Okay, look at it that way. This one, the shortest point is 32 feet,
Wow.
and the largest meaning about 50 feet.
that was something I
And the
noticed a
average-
lot in going through it with all the people, because so many times in the dome, you're fighting, you're pushing, you're elbowing, and, I carry a shield, so I could push people around a little bit, Not that I did, but I could, but it was like so often like a sardine can in trying to maneuver your way through. There were that many people there, but it was certainly much more comfortable. The
Yeah,
hardest
but
day for me was when I was there with my elderly dad, because he was a little slower, so I'm trying to navigate them around some of the people, but it was doable. It wasn't, no one was rude, it wasn't crazy, that kind of thing. I noticed that immensely, because that was one of my biggest pet peeves. besides the
On
back.
average, is 44 feet.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, good question, and
So
one
it's
of the
large.
fantastic improvements by far was the concourse space, and just.
There's 168 kegs to fill the lines and the taps for the beer. That's nuts.
Yeah, man.
And you didn't even ask him that question.
No, he could
You
see
read
it.
the
He could
box.
see it. He could see it on my face, though.
What else, Joe? What else you got
For the stadium,
for questions? Yeah.
I think you guys covered most of it. I mean, I was the only thing that you guys already talked about that I'm not worried about, but interested in seeing is how the sound goes from, as terrible as the dome was, it was extremely unpleasant for the visiting team, and I don't see how that will change. I think it'll, I just want the Vikings to get back in that conversation that Arrowhead has, or that Seattle gets with their 12th man nonsense. So, I mean, from what you guys, when you guys did your your SKOL Vikings song? Did you like the acoustics?
Oh,
It was loud.
it was loud. We were again standing in the concourse just inside the doors, so we haven't heard that from us singing it yet in the stadium part itself. I certainly look forward to all of that, and I look forward to us being able to try to coordinate a few different kind of things in cheers or chants or whatnot.
I'd like to
get the
that.
crowd going.
I'd like to get that Nordic drum chant going, like
Yeah.
Iceland did for the soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was badass.
Yeah.
personally.
There will be some things that we will certainly work on. That's one of the ideas in mind. Yeah, it's going to take some coordination. It's not just those things don't just happen. You have to
Yeah.
have people like us who know how to get
We
things
already-
started, get things going.
We already got Hub needs drum. Well, what more do we need?
There we
Really?
go.
You know.
So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And those are some of the, again, for myself, that's a VW goal, special ops goal of getting a few things coordinated, because I have a Vikings
All right.
charge cheer I want us to do, of course, SKOL, yeah, probably that Nordic, that Icelandic cheer using SKOL word as opposed to anything else, but we got to do something on the defensive side. You want to do something that's kind of on the offensive side, and just whatever. I don't want us to do something stupid like Denver does when they say incomplete. When the other team makes
I'm
a
not into
completion.
incomplete.
Anything's better than Go Pack Go, as far as
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
concerned.
We wanna kick
I would
that
like
up.
to come up with something that we can counter their go with.
Yeah.
And
Like
the SKOL-
finish their sentence for them.
I think we need to send up like a little assembly line thing or whatever, or fire brigade type of line, that when they start that, we throw the Packer fans out. Go Pack, go. There's one out the door. Go Pack, go. Another one out the door. Well, that's a little bit violent. I don't know.
I don't know if that's gonna fly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a.
Okay, maybe we won't do that. So Viking security, calm down. We're okay. That's not going to happen. We will certainly vocally knock their socks off. So that's for sure. Well, a lot of good times. A great opening weekend. For me, it was a great celebratory time because on a personal note, I had posted. I know this is out there on my own Facebook page on Vikings Journal. I wrote like a 2-page thing, or whatever, just kind of going over each day. Some of the memories, some of the feelings that I experienced, because it was euphoria. It was almost tears of joy. Not that I actually cried, but
We wouldn't hold it
relief
against
at
you
getting
if
it
you
done,
did.
all that.
We wouldn't hold it against you if you did cry.
No, and I wouldn't have either. So it just hit that.
Yeah, it was overwhelming for me.
But it was overwhelming. It's such a flood of different emotions going on all at the same time, and you don't have that too often. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a victorious kind of time, and you're there just celebrating. You can think back so easily 4 years ago when we're in that battle, and 4 years prior when we're fighting those battles and going to some sports bar for doing a rally, or showing up someplace else for doing a rally, doing a TV show, a press interview, whatever, trying to help talk people up, going and talking to a politician, or whether they're for or whether they're against.
Right.
I'll always remember shaking, I'm just going to say Mr. Winkler's hand. If he knows who he is, great. If that's fine. He was
The
against
Fonz?
the thing the whole time.
Yeah.
Met him at the House of Representatives, shook his hand, saying, "We need your vote," and I did not let go of his hand. That was one of the firmest handshakes I've ever given. Maybe it marvels or rivals Adrian Peterson's handshakes, which I know are crushing.
Right.
So Mr. Winkler got the message. So, and I'm not saying I'm the one who changed his vote, but he did end up changing his mind. So, and I know that as fans we made an impression on there, but thankfully wisdom came
Well,
through.
he
and-
wasn't one of the 12 that I actually threatened. So,
Maybe we'll X that line out of that tape.
yeah. I'm
We-
actually just teasing.
We weren't too far off, really, from ending up like the St. Louis fans. So
No, really, they went to LA, and sometimes that happens, and I feel
Yeah.
bad for their fan base. They had to move again.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but
Although that being said, as a boy growing up with the Rams being the LA Rams, it just kind of feels
It
right.
feels right in
you know.
LA,
And that's
actually.
nothing against any St. Louis fan,
yeah,
but it just feels right.
It
that
really
the LA
does to
Rams are
me.
the LA
It feels
Rams.
right being LA Rams. And
Yeah.
I seen them as a kid. I watched them come into the old Met, and they were slipping and sliding all over the place, a couple different occasions. But that's beside the point.
That's another reason I like having the LA Rams back, because we always beat them, and there were some great games of both
Yeah.
days, so that'll be a lot of fun to relive. Thank you. Well, we want to move on with this. We've been talking a lot of stadium stuff here, but we hope that you enjoyed all that extended talk on there. I have no idea how long we're going because our timer went, but Coach Denny Green, Viking Coach Denny Green, the second highest winning coach in Viking history. Just passed away last week of, I think, cardiac complications from what I heard. I
Yeah.
had no idea that he was suffering or anything,
Right.
so that that was certainly a surprise to hear. So, but just kind of go around and kind of share thoughts of the Denny Green era of the Vikings.
Me becoming conscious as a Vikings fan, he was the coach that I first started watching. I mean, I was born in '84, so I do remember Jerry Burns and my dad getting really angry in the '80s from time to time. But when I really started getting into the team was during the Denny Green era, and it's just really sad. You know, he was still a young guy. He was a brilliant coach. He didn't get a lot of credit in Minnesota. A lot of people have negative opinions about him. I don't know if it's based on the fact that he took that knee before overtime in '98, or if he just had what Flip Saunders had when he was here the first time, which he's just going to get over the hump for whatever reason. But you know, you don't, in a team as storied as the Vikings, you don't get to, you know, that place with the second most wins by default. You know, he put together a really special team. He came from he was a disciple of Walsh and almost has his own legacy now, you know, with coaches that were underneath him, and Dungy and Billick, a couple.
Tomlinson.
Yeah. So I mean, he's always been someone that you know represented that really great period in my life of you know the Randy Moss era Vikings, and it was
Jack
just
Del Rio too, actually.
Played for him, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So no, obviously, he won. One of the first things.
He was the second winningest coach in Viking history. Most people don't realize it. You're doing a good job if you're taking your team in a decade 9 out of 10 times to the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's in the playoffs 9 out of 10 times, whether you win the division or go in as a wild card. It doesn't matter. You're a winning coach when you're taking your team to the playoffs. So he didn't.
Only Bud Grant had a better record,
It was only 4-8 as a
playoffs.
playoff record, but that's beside the point. You know, he was an excellent coach. He was a great offensive mind, because how else could they have gotten, you know, that 15-1 season and be the top offensive scoring points in the league at the time? So I know somebody's beaten it since then, but that's beside the point. It happens. It's a receivers league now.
But definitely, yeah, a great offensive mind, and he had good offensive coaches with him, and then of course you had Chris Carter, in my opinion, best receiver of all time. You know, credit to Rice for what he did, but you know, I like Carter, best hands ever, and he played with so many guys. And Carter and Green they kind of seemed to have a special relationship.
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
But yeah, the offensive side of the ball is so good.
It seems like Denny took chances on some guys. You know, Carter leaving Philadelphia had his issues.
Yeah, he was chemically dependent.
Yeah, and
going through some.
Moss obviously dropped to us at the 19th spot for a reason, and you know we put faith in those guys, and they put something special together.
Oh yeah, the bringing in Moss, that's probably his best draft choice ever. Obviously, you know, but in team history, that might be one of the best draft choices ever. For sure too, and came in and
But
just held that offensively.
did he draft Brad Johnson? Did he
He would have had to.
Henry Thomas? Didn't he draft Chris Dolman? Didn't he draft those guys?
I think Dolman was already on the team, I think, when he came, but if I remember correctly, because we got Dolman back from the Bernie Kosar and all that kind of stuff. That was
We got the trade pick for his pick in Cleveland, but I think Denny's first draft, he drafted Dolman.
But yeah, I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure, but Denny stepped in right away. The last year, Jerry Burns was a season that ended flat. That was a team that underperformed, and so there was a lot of wondering, like, how is this going to be? And I remember Denny
Was he
coming
the guy
in.
that took the risk on Johnny Randall, who was a Hall
Yeah,
of Famer,
yeah,
undrafted?
exactly.
I'm
But-
just saying,
yeah.
he knew talent. The guy knew talent.
But Green comes in, says he's the new sheriff in town, he's setting things right, and he got that team in '92, first year, we win the division. That's an impressive change around for a first year for a coach. Now, I know we kind of went flat in the playoffs that year,
Yeah.
but still, that was a good turnaround, and it worked out well. So I like that first impression. Now, Denny had a lot of drama in his life and
Yeah.
career too. I remember Joe Oberle sent in an email just saying that perhaps one of the most dramatic coaches, and there was always the press had things to write about because not just how the team was doing, but how he handled the press or didn't, or
what he said, or
Exactly.
what was it, Calcutta up in Canada coming down and blowing
Yeah.
the winds and out of the
Alberta
bubble.
Clipper or something.
Yeah, Alberta Clipper. That's what it was.
sure.
And we're going to get sound effects eventually that we can play here, but I think one of the number one sound bites we have to grab is Denny Green after that Bears game.
That's when he was an Arizona coach.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but even still, we knew who they were. We
yeah.
knew
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious.
We let him off the hook.
Yeah.
You know?
He's a legend, man.
Yeah, no,
Without a
that's one of
doubt.
the biggest rants in coaching history. That and Jim Morris
Playoffs.
Yeah, those are probably the two worst coaching rants ever.
Playoffs was a hell. That was hilarious.
But we digress. We don't want to get into all that stuff. But yeah, Denny certainly was kind of a lightning rod at times. Could be very motivating. So many of his players said he was a very motivating guy. Definitely a player's coach. But most seem to like him. I don't know if Mike Morris did so much.
He would see me at training camp and he would go the other direction. I'm not kidding. I don't know if it was because I was so obnoxiously dressed. I have no idea. But I would be all dressed up as a Viking fan, just rooting and hollering, trying to get him to come over for a bunch of kids, and he would go the other way. But
Denny was a little. I only met him really well twice. Once very quickly, and once at the 50 greatest thing where he was there with his
Yeah.
family. I just remember being impressed how short he was. I thought he was going to be a little bigger guy. He was kind of pudgy,
Yeah.
but he wasn't tall. He was a short
No.
guy. So you don't always get that off of television. So
Right, exactly.
Again, had second most wins as a Viking coach. That again, the '98 season. That's always going to be memorable for
Yeah.
so many good reasons. I'm not going to worry about the Gary Anderson thing. Let's cherish what was good out of it. And
Exactly.
You know, I think his legacy did get tarnished a bit, just and it wasn't necessarily his fault in how things ended with the Giants game, and that off season was just devastating. You know,
The book, to me, the book was his downfall. To write that he's going to take over the team.
I was never aware of that.
He wrote a book, No Room for Crybabies,
Yes.
I think was the name of it. I never read the book, actually. I heard enough about it in the press that I kind of didn't feel like I needed to read it. But yeah, in the book, he outlined a plan for him to buy the team and take over and be the owner, become the owner of the team and all that. So
Well, that didn't work.
yeah, well, he kind of, like I said, he kind of went out there sometimes and had some tangents that maybe in retrospect would have been better not to say, not to do, but it is what it is. You can't change what that was. So, but
On the field, though, he's got his legacy, and
yeah.
you know,
He's got his goods on the field. He's got his odd things off the field, and away it goes. But yeah, but the man's passed, so we really want to give respect to what
So
he
he
did
came up
accomplish.
through Northwestern, then he went to Stanford, and basically came to the Vikings, and he was going to take us to the promised land. He did recruit some of the most awesome quarterbacks I have come to mind. Warren Moon,
Cunningham,
Randall Cunningham, Jeff George.
Yeah.
And
then bringing in Culpepper.
Sean Salisbury, all them guys. Didn't he come with those guys?
Yeah, we got those.
Wade Wilson, all them cool.
did he come in after Herschel Walker?
Yes.
That was 92, or was that 91?
No, that was 89 was Herschel Walker.
Was it? See, yeah, I have no
So
recollection.
He had just left. Herschel had just left.
Herschel didn't play for Green, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
He just
had
kind of ended
just
that
left.
tenure he came in.
Yeah.
So, but when
It's-
to me one of the I don't know if it's controversial or not, but when he started, Brad Johnson was the guy that people were thinking were going to be the starter, and then we traded him to Washington, and he started Culpepper. I was just like, you can't start this rookie yet, It's like, and Culpepper totally proved me wrong. So credit to Dante on that. He came in and was fantastic. Now, certainly helped that he had Carter and Moss to throw to.
Yeah.
Correct.
What rookie quarterback has ever had that kind of receiving ability? But
Right.
and of course Dante was huge and could run, and
Yeah.
it was great. But I got to give Coach Green credit for making that call, because that was not a decision I would have ever made. I was against it when it happened.
Yeah.
I groomed him along the way. It worked.
And another risk too, out of Central Florida. I think that was where Dante Culpepper came out of. But he had some NCAA records that were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dante doesn't get a lot of credit in the fan base either. You know, a lot of people look at Teddy as like our first organic franchise quarterback, at least in my lifetime, and it seems like they gloss over Culpepper a lot. I don't know if that's because he was throwing to Carter and Moss.
I don't know. I think the worst thing for Culpepper is that he had that knee injury, and that really hurt him, and then he didn't come back. When Childress came in, he kind of negotiated his way out.
Yeah.
And his career was never the same after that. But
yeah, I was going to say almost the exact same thing. But the one thing that I wanted to point out about Culpepper was after his injury, they never really gave him a chance. They never really, I don't know if it was the owner established rule at the time, but he wanted the other quarterback, and I personally, I would have rather had Dante in there. And I didn't want to see him go. He's really nice to the fans whenever he comes in contact with us, both at training camp and then after his career. He's been up here a number of different times. He's been up here for different fundraiser type stuff. He's always nice to the fans. And plus he visits Hurdle and Diggs and all that good stuff. So he comes over to the BWO.
Cool.
Well, one other change that we've had happen here, we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, as far as talking about the current team, because we probably should spend a little time today talking about our Vikings 2016.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot this leading up to preseason and training camp about the offense and the offensive line, and that we've been happy how we've brought in some guys to help beef up the line, make it better. Part of that was looking at Phil Loadholt coming back from his injuries and having a good battle there with Smith, but unfortunately the injuries have taken over from Phil Loadholt, and he has announced this week that he decided to retire. He can't keep it going, which it's sad to see because you don't like to have to lose a good career. Good athlete, strong guy. One of the few people I've ever said makes me really feel small.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He's the biggest man I've met.
And he's really nice and humble. I've met him a few times at Arctic Blast and bowling event and a couple other different things. But he's really super nice to the fans. It's going to be sad to see him go.
Yeah.
Competition is there with the linemen, and the competition to me breeds greatness. I don't know about you, but if you got a good defensive line, you're going to have a good offensive line because these guys practice against each other. They bang heads against each other. They got a plan going into it. When you got the NFL's leading rusher, you only hope that he can repeat with that NFL leading rusher, or at least give his quarterback some time to breathe back there. Teddy, I can only honestly see more good things coming out of this mature kid coming out of Louisville. I like everything I see in Teddy. I haven't seen the long ball. We got Megaquan this year. So that's what I call Megaquan. Other people call him another nickname.
Well, let's let him earn it first.
I like Mac coming out of the draft, and I like that they picked up in free agency Rhino. I can't say enough about the young guy coming from San Francisco, being just a stud offensive lineman.
And talking about Boone there, if you don't know his nickname being Rhino.
Yeah.
So, but with
and
Loadholt
Smith too, as well as on the offensive line,
right,
coming from Cincinnati.
Well, with Loadholt retiring, that's almost kind of like in the Zimmer won't say this, but it's almost like Smith is going to inherit that job.
Yeah.
But
we just talked about, was it last week or the week before? I think
it was 2 weeks ago.
Whether or not Loadholt's position at the top of the depth chart at the right tackle position was, ceremonial, or if it was just something that Smith had to earn.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if with Loadholt going out, if they're gonna look at having T.J. Clemmings maybe slide back to the right tackle position for depth if they need him.
Smith for that spot.
Yeah, I guess it all it comes down to how much faith they have in Smith to begin with.
We'll have to see. Smith has had injuries in his career, not as bad as what Loadholt obviously suffered, obviously, but it takes one of those depth charts out of with Loadholt going. One of the elements of depth and levels of depth we've lost now because he's had to retire, and he's had to, so that had to happen. So that is the way it is. But I'll be curious how the battles go on the offensive line during the preseason, and then when other teams start making cuts, if we pick up anybody else to try to keep more depth. Who knows how that'll go? I don't know if they'll do anything before camp starts just a few days from the
I'm
time.
actually very curious to see what happens with our offensive line, because Berger's back. I really like TJ Clemens. I can't say enough about this young kid. He comes in last year filling in with a banged up offensive line, and he just comes in and he's a standout, you know.
Yeah, it was certainly a tough year. I mean, he had goods, he had some crappy games too, you know.
Yeah, but he still
gotta be
did a
honest.
really good job considering what
Well, he
happened.
shouldn't have had to learn in that scenario too. You know, like you said, he's had to step
Learning
up
on the
because-
fly like that,
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
easy to do for the NFL on an offensive line,
No, it isn't.
especially with the leading rusher, you know.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays
And that's
out.
Loadholt was best in blocking for the run, so he'll be missed out there.
For sure, yeah. He was often called a road grader.
Yeah.
Love that term for an offensive lineman, so.
But there's still we do have a tremendous amount of depth. I mean, we've invested the most amount of money into our offensive line of any team. As of right now, I don't know if that's gonna hold over if we make some cuts or what have you. But I think they have like over 25% of the salary cap locked into the offensive line position. So,
That doesn't surprise me at all.
well, when you don't draft
Right.
guys, you got to pick up guys off free agency, and they're overpriced and old usually.
Right.
But to make the moves, like we've talked about earlier on 3D episodes in the past too, the right thing to do is to invest in bringing some guys in, because when you bring in rookies, they're rookies. They haven't proven anything yet on the NFL field. So I don't care how good their college career was, and I'm not knocking them. You'd like to have a good, promising guy coming in and be able to do well, but he hasn't done it yet. So versus bringing in Boone, best example, there's a guy who's proven himself. We picked that up, we brought that in, and that makes the line stronger just by that one addition there. So
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that guy in camp. I usually just watch the defense, honestly, because I'm a defensive guy. I mean, otherwise, why would I put the big D in the fence on my face for the games? But, I'm going to be watching that guy, because when you get the number 3 meanest offensive lineman in the NFL,
Definitely.
we want to send a message right away at Tennessee. I want to say we want to blank them first of all, but we want to make sure we win outright by at least 3 touchdowns to a poor team that's just starting out with a new quarterback. It's going to be a rough day for that rookie, but that's beside the point. He's going to have to learn how to win on the fly, you know, and it's not going to be against us in his debut.
So we'll jump to talking about the first game of the season in like
Sorry.
a month, but
Yeah, I know.
but no, wait a step ahead. So, yeah, 'cause I don't know when we'll have you back yet, but Dave will be back.
But Rhino will be on it. I mean,
For sure.
the dude's a stud, and
He improves that entire side of the line by himself.
exactly.
I mean,
Just him showing up, you know,
he's a big guy too, especially for
Oh, yeah.
for a tackle, 6'7".
and to say what he did to
Clay Matthews.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wanna get it right off the bat. He wants to smack Clay Matthews right in the face, which I love that.
Oh yeah, no, I think Viking fans who caught that line when that pickup happened, they're like, wow, what did and they're looking up, what did he say? Well, it was from a playoff game when
Yeah.
San Francisco played them. So it wasn't
Exactly.
that he said
It
that.
wasn't-
It
yeah.
wasn't said in being signed to the Vikings, which
Right,
I would
exactly.
have fine
Well,
if
we
he did.
brought it up again. We brought it up again, and then he signed something for one of our VWO brothers. So yeah, we enjoyed that.
Sure. No, we like some people with a little character, a little attitude. So
Yeah, we
that's
like-
why people
we
love
like
Jared
people
Allen
with
so
character.
much. Yeah,
You know,
as well too.
and we
So.
still love Tommy Kramer too. So
Yeah.
without a doubt, we love character.
We certainly do. So I'm going to bring it up, Kramer. I'm going to just put this out there. We're recording this in July, but Tommy will be in town in August because he has a golf tournament thing that he does that's to raise funds for fighting cancer. And it's going to be on August the 12th. It's at Mississippi Dunes, Mississippi Links. And if you want to find out more information, we don't have that yet on our website or anything like that, but certainly it's a thing that as fans you can go to, you can get there. Tommy will be there. There's usually a bunch of other former Vikings and maybe other famous athlete people who are there. I have worked this event. This will be my 4th year in a row. I love going to this. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll be there all in gear and stuff too. So it's like I said, I'm there. I don't play golf, so I got to go and have fun and work it. So that's why I do that. So. And it's also to support fighting cancer, which that's a good cause by itself. But that's on August the 12th. So when you're hearing this, check that out. There's stuff on Facebook that you can find. If you want to ask me, I'll send you links to things and like that on Facebook. So
And I'm very competitive in golf. If there's a sponsor out there that wants to sponsor me in one of these fundraisers, I'll go out there and do it for free. But you can donate the monies to the fund to get me in there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pay for Dave to go play golf. There
Yeah,
you go.
I'm not kidding, I can do it. So if you're grain belt, you need me to do it, I can do it even sober.
He probably could, so yeah. Sid Davey has played in this tournament before. Trey Miller, another Viking World Order guy, Sir B, has been in there. So there's been a few who have played. Like I said, I'm not a golfer. Miniature golf's about the best I do of playing golf, so. And there's not been a miniature golf tournament yet that I'm aware of, so.
I'm competitive, ask Dan Cole, a common man, who's not common.
Yeah, no, I know you're competitive, so we can say that, so. This, I think, will wrap up our show for today. Hope you've enjoyed 3 Deep. I know we've gone longer than we usually do, but so what? It's a podcast.
Yeah.
You can listen as you want to. That's one of the joys of this stuff, too. You can listen. You can go back in if it's a little long, you need to take a break, or you can play it while you're doing your laundry or the kitchen stuff or whatever, as opposed to putting the tube on again or listen to some silly music station that's playing sometimes silly music. You know, there's a lot of good music out there, but I digress. So thanks for tuning in to 3 Deep. Joe Orbley, we expect he'll be back with us next week, so you can catch his sports writer stuff. Joe Johnson will be here, and Skolt Scott, I'll be here as well too. Skolt has spoken.